Welcome to the Investment Banking Leaders Podcast, brought to you by the Investment Banking Leaders Club, your exclusive access to the industry's most successful leaders. These experts have closed thousands of deals, generating hundreds of billions of dollars, and they're here to share their strategies, insights, and leadership lessons that can fast-track your career. But the learning doesn't stop here. Join the Investment Banking Leaders Club at ibleadersclub.com for even more exclusive insights, leadership frameworks, and career accelerating resources and events. Thanks for joining us, and best of luck on your growth journey. I am pumped to bring you today's episode. I'm joined by a guest that embodies vision, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of a dream. From reading the Wall Street Journal as a teenager in Colombia, despite not yet mastering English, to becoming one of the most respected independent investment bankers in the Latin America region. I'm joined by Luis Carlos Ochoa Paris, who has built a career grounded in purpose, client focus, and global ambition. Now, after holding senior roles at Citi across Colombia, New York, and Latin America, and consistently being rated a top performer, Luis took a leap of faith to found Valoriza Group back in 2018. And that's now one of the top independent investment banks in Colombia and across the LATAM region, with 1.4 billion in deal volume across 14 different countries. So excited to get into it with Luis today. In today's episode, we'll explore how Luis turned a childhood dream into reality, what big bank experience taught him about client trust, technical excellence, and global reach. We'll also look at grit and leadership and what it takes to build a firm from scratch, and why relationships and reputation still matter more than anything. And if that's not enough, we'll also look at how bankers can sharpen their edge in the age of AI without losing the human spark that defines success in this industry. So really excited to get into this. Welcome to the Investment Banking Podcast. Luis, thanks for joining us.
Nice, Peter. I love your enthusiasm, your energy, man. I love it. And congratulations on the powerful Ivy Sport podcast platform that you have built. Thanks so much for showcasing me and our firm Valoriza Group. Very grateful for that, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate the kind words. And let's keep this energy up. I'm sure it won't be a problem.
Let's pump it, man.
Let's pump it. Love it. Okay, so let's start. You said your dream of becoming an investment banker started in your early teens, reading the Wall Street Journal in English, even before you were fluent. Can you tell us a bit about that moment and how that dream stayed with you?
Yeah, absolutely. It was, Peter, like the mid-'80s. I was attending a bilingual institute, an English institute to learn English, which is called Centro Colombo Americano in Medellin, downtown. And at the level we were at, they gave us the task to read articles in English and to translate them. So I was sitting right there with my Spanish to English, English to Spanish dictionary. And I grabbed an article from the 1980s, which was pretty much showcasing some line from Michael Lewis' book about liar's poker and the glamours about the industry and the whole need of mathematical knowledge to get into IB. And I said to myself, wow, this sounds interesting. It really resounded in myself, within myself. So I said, wow, I need to dig into it, do more research, and see what it is. Because back then, we didn't have investment banking in Colombia. The first investment banks in our country started back in the 90s with Curva. Upon later on in the 90s to work for the largest one, which was Corpinsura, which turned out to be into Grupo One Colombia today, which is the largest Colombian bank.
It's amazing that you had the desire and the commitment to go learn English and at the same time be reading these articles and then be drawn in by what was going on at that period. And Liar's Poker, as you mentioned, a book that I know many of our audience will be familiar with. Fast forward to where we are today, what gave you the confidence to step away from Citi and build something so impressive as Valoriza Group on your own?
Thanks, man. That's a very kind question. I believe the confidence came from two angles. The very first one, I always understood that my strength came not from a big firm, like the one I had the blessing and the luxury to work for almost 2 decades, which was Citibank. The strength came from my knowledge, from my drive, from my persistence in executing transactions and the huge network I've built over 3 decades. I truly felt, listen, I work for likely the largest 2 manufacturers worldwide, and I get a magnificent salary and bonus. I'm very grateful for the lessons I built there. But my expertise really was about building shoes, right? So I always felt that confidence within. And then a family issue came up around 2012. I filed for divorce. I started a relationship with my former wife and my lovely daughter, who's now nearly to be 25. And my best friend, who's my dad, said, look, he wants to transfer you because my last post at Citi was to run the IB team for public sector across Latam. So I was on the road 96%, 95% of the time. I had teams in 25 countries. I was always pitching women's finance and privatizing, project finance, fixed income, and so on and forth. So the bank want me to move again, like they do with most expats every 3 years. So my dad came up and said, man, you love executing transactions. Why don't you set up your own shop? So he was definitive that final pull. And then my family, my daughter, my girlfriend backed me up. That's how we launched it. And then I called him my partner, best partner, and only one I ever had in my life, Juan Carlos. I called the bank and told him, look, the bank wants to transfer me again. I never thought about leaving Citi. It was a fantastic place to work for. Thinking in setting up a shop, would you like to join? I said, why don't we start tonight? And that's how we got started, man.
I love that. I love you didn't waste any time getting it started, but it's so interesting, that belief, that confidence you had in your execution and that drive and that network. I know we're going to talk about network more on this episode, but it's great. That was what gave you that ability to take the leap of faith. And I guess the family issues and too much travel, those were the challenges that ended up creating something special with your partner at Valoriza. Really interesting journey. Thanks for sharing it. And having got to know you, I know how client-focused you are, and I know you're a true cross-border expert, given you've worked across so many countries. So with Valoriza completing transactions in 14 countries, what are the keys to building trust and executing well across different borders, in your opinion?
First and foremost, industry knowledge, product expertise. You know what I keep telling the young guns at our firm is that you really need to develop that acumen, the technical knowledge of what product building and execution entails means. That's critical. Understanding risk, understanding client suitability is definitely number one. Secondly, career helps. When you have a solid execution behind your back over the years, colleagues and clients recognize that facilitates tremendously the ability to execute a regional platform. Thirdly, network. Your network is your network. That's a phrase that I heard from my grandpa and dad a long time ago, and then from a lovely professor that I had at my MBA. So I always kept that network alive. So when I pick up the phone and call my former parties and said, look, I set up my own shop. I want to build a regional platform that allows to deliver transactions in 14 countries. We wanted to build not a local investment banking boutique. We wanted to build a regional one where we could execute cross-border transactions, where we could do M&A, debt, project finance, and the likes, leverage on the network that I built for 32 years, from which nearly 20 I was out of Colombia. So we leveraged on that. So now it looks easy, but it was tough back then. But it worked, Jesus, it worked.
I guess it's a lot of hard work, right? It's not just that luck. Industry, product knowledge, understanding the client, that solid execution experience and the career experience you built up, and network as net worth. So I love that. Lots of great advice there. And on the network, it struck me. You told me something that I haven't heard before. I've spoken to many leaders, right, across the podcast and across my network. You told me your clients often become friends, but you said you even offer a full refund if your clients aren't happy with the service that Valoriza provides. So how do you instill that level of client-first culture within the team?
I had the magnificent opportunity since I was a kid to work for my grandpa and my dad. And later on, when I joined Citi, that was Citi's motto: put clients first, client centricity, be a client-centric banker. Really feel that within my veins, heart, and soul. And that, to have client centricity, you need to feel passionate about this industry. So you need to find and build passionate bankers, right? So when you truly understand the client's needs and put the needs ahead of you and the firm, those clients feel like you truly care about what they need. Because when a big businessman, a big entrepreneur give you the significant responsibility in selling his or her company, that is not a light task. So you really need to feel it in your heart, man. So how do we contend that? How do we prove that? As you said, not only verbally, but contractually, in every single mandate we sign, we explain and we gain to our client the opportunity that if he's not happy with the service, and if we don't render that service accurately, properly, within the standards he was expecting, we fully reimburse. We have been now live since 2018. It's going to be 8 years. We have never had any reimbursement at all. So we're very lucky to say that. And secondly, this is an industry that is based on your name. So your name is non-negotiable. So you need how do you protect your name? Protect your client first. Your clients will speak about it. And they will say, look, when you go to Valoriza Group, when you call Luis Carlos Ochoa, he's a solid guy. He will protect you because he will protect his name at any cost, even if he has to reimburse you. So we are here because we have clients who really trust us. We always wanted to become a trusted advisor. That's something that I learned at Citi and working for my grandpa and my dad. We want to be trusted advisors to our clients. So when you connect in such a way, something unexpectedly happens. 90% of the times or more, those clients become friends. And for life, I could tell you many stories about clients that while at Citi and later on at Valoriza, we have executed transactions for them. It's real friendships. And I always treated my job, my business, which, by the way, I never felt like a job. I felt, despite of being such a hardworking field, I always felt like a hobby. I truly feel like they're friends, and it's fun. I enjoy it.
Your passion certainly comes through, and I love it. And I love speaking to you about it. And at the end of the day, investment banking is a people business, right? You're helping people realize their dreams in many cases. And I love your passion, your approach. How do you bring your team with you in that client-centric journey? Are there values? Is it coaching? Like, how do you bring them along to ensure that once they're hired, they're really embedded in that client-centric mindset?
Yeah, absolutely, Peter. We ensure, or we intend, or we try our best in hiring passionate people. Like when we open our gates, our lotus down to join our troops, we want to ensure that they know what investment banking instills. We want to look into that fire. We want to see that, that fire firing up. And then we involve ourselves in coaching those young guns, telling them to join in pitching meetings, in presentations. Even when we have big issues, as this is a tough industry, we involve the junior team for them to learn. So they feel, they see, they hear, they will put our clients first. They know that if we don't deliver for them, that a bonus won't come, that career progress won't come, that knowledge won't come, that their name is right in the middle, that they have a name that came from the parents, from the grandpas, and that name has to be protected at any cost. How do they protect that for future clients? So believe me, if you ask any of our analysts, they will tell you, they will feel it, man, and they fight and die for our clients. That's it.
I love that. I can see why giving the team a purpose. That's really what you've done there. And I can, speaking to you, I can feel that. So I'm sure they feel it as well. And again, involving them makes so much sense to help them progress. You've touched on your grandpa a couple of times already. I know he was a really important person in your life, as was your father. What leadership lessons did you take from your grandfather, your father, and also maybe early mentors that you had at Citi?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take from my grandpa, which I have the blessing of having the same name, from my dad and top seniors that I had at Citi, Ed Sanchez, Bernardo Norenz Maraj, Raymond Gottlieb, Dennis Evans. I'll take from them the fact that always be the hardest working kid of the room, man, and feel passionate about what you do. If you don't feel passionate, you should leave, man, because you're working that sort of for the salary and bonus, you're at the wrong spot. Give us more people, hardworking people always find a way to make money. So you want to make money, you better ensure that it has to do with your passion because you enjoy that thing, man. You have to enjoy it. Life is too freaking short to spend it working for someone just to make money, right? So if you put that passion first, money will follow, reputation will follow, and so on and forth. And then, and last, discipline. Perseverance is likely the main skill I learned from my dad. And perseverance is something that perseverance outsmarts anything. When you persevere and you love what you do, boy, the results will come. So I'll just leave it there, man.
I hope my two sons listen to my advice as a father. Let's hope in a few years that comes true, Luis. I want to sit on discipline a little bit. I know you got discipline from your swimming career early, and you shared with me that you swim 3 kilometers every day. You take time every week to check in with friends and clients. So I'm really interested in how does discipline in your personal life support performance in your professional life?
Yeah. Thanks, man, for bringing that up. A huge mentor that I had was a swimming coach, which was national swimming coach in Colombia, Raul Gonzalez. He passed away. He was like a dad for many of us, and he's the one who got the most number of Olympic swimmers in the country. So I had the luxury of, at a very early age, to swim with him, and we remained friends for life. I became the first time I really got a big championship. I became a national champion and later on national record and many other things. But we learned discipline through him. And what discipline gives you is the unbelievable skill of defeating anything or anyone or any possible fear that you have when you have discipline. You build up things that others won't. Like the one who's too smart, he won't give the extra mile. The one who is too laid back, neither. He won't do it neither. When you're disciplined, you just keep working, man. You build it, right? So when we hire people in a very tactful way, we seek to find that discipline. We ensure that we're bringing into our firm disciplined people. We don't lay backs. We don't like disorganized people because if you're gonna work hard for a client who built his company, that entrepreneur most likely is an organized, disciplined person. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to build what he did. So going back into client suitability, we want to match that culture in hiring and developing with the client we serve. So when we put a team in front of our client, he feels that they care, that they're disciplined, that they're organized, that they're hardworking, that they truly care. So that's pretty much it, Peter.
And when you talked about you schedule time to check in with friends and clients and you make that a discipline, can you talk to me a little bit about that? I think that was really interesting and sure something that our listeners could take away.
Yeah, absolutely. Every week, I set up between 30 minutes up to 2 hours, just in checking everybody. And I organize my agenda on a weekly, monthly, and quarter basis to ensure that I call friends, key clients, and so on, from celebrating the birthday and ensuring their family is okay, up to what's going through their mind, what do they need. So again, when I was younger, I was working from these old guys, from my dad and grandpa, they always used to say, in life, it is more important to have friends than money. And I can attest to that. I can tell them a significant part of what Valoriza's success comes from is from that phrase. I always took good care from friends. And whenever I pick up their phone to call on them, they have been there right there for us. Even when we founded Valoriza and we got our first pitch, the first clients we visited were friends from a school, young. And before leaving the meeting, I told an actor who still remained a very dear client of ours, and I told them, look, we're not living with a mandate, man. You put the fees, you put the price, but you need to hire us, man, because you need us, right? And we got the mandate right there. They said, good. How much is it? We said, this, done. One deal. We walk away with our first month, the first 30 days we got started. So checking on friends is important. I mean, you cannot be in this industry just waiting on someone to send you an RP, a request of proposal. You need to be there. You need to become first call. And how do you become first call? Being there for a client. You cannot be for a client right there just for whenever he needs something. You need to ensure you care. And I do care. And second, is part of our culture, keeping that level close. And secondly, for me, it's important in the sense that through that exercise, I ensure that I know what is happening across regions and across geographies. If I call a client in Argentina or Brazil or Miami or Spain, I'm hearing and crossing that to what I get to read on Global Finance or on the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal. So it gives me a very powerful tool to keep building my learning, which is critical in our industry. You need to keep reading and learning what's going on beyond what you read on the news, right? And that propels business opportunity. That propels your pipeline tremendously.
Yeah, I love that. There's so much resource out there and so much information, but speaking to those that are so close to it and really getting the understanding of what's going on and being able to connect it to the data you get. I love that. And again, being intentional, structuring that time to check in. How do you do it when you're traveling? Because I imagine got clients in 14 different countries or so and trying to check in and get that face-to-face time as well as phone time. Do you have any tricks to how to do that effectively to ensure you cover your clients consistently face-to-face?
Man, Peter, in the same way I swim 3K every day, set apart a 30 minutes time at least, just to send an email, a WhatsApp, a quick call, and I tactfully organize who I'm calling and why every day, every week. It's part of my motto because then the success of this business or our firm not only comes from that international career that I built, that we built together, but the network.
Yeah.
The power comes from the network, from the clients. So you need to be there from them. I've attended many of their marriages. I've been in many births of their kids. I've been in many of their anniversaries and many of their beach houses, playing golf, and so on and forth. I don't do it. I know it sounds intentional. And of course, this is a business, but frankly, it moves me. I really connect the motto of what this firm represents vis-a-vis the fact that thanks to these guys, we keep alive, enjoying what we do. So I put the time, and there's no excuse when you're organized and disciplined for not ensuring you keep doing what you should be doing, right? So I still do it even when I'm on vacation.
Yeah, I love that though. I guess that passion and that fact you said you almost see it like as a hobby, right? You enjoy connecting with people and building relationships. So I can see why it's fun when it's like that. And I've heard other leaders tell me about being intentional, having call plans and making sure they got purpose and reasons to call and discipline. So thanks for sharing. I think a lot of the VPs that are listening, they struggle with that, moving from execution to origination and how to go about that. So I think you've given a lot of great insight. So thanks for sharing. I want to talk a little bit about Citi, I guess, again. How has working across M&A, debt financing, structured products prepared you for the one shop or the one-stop approach that you offer at Valoriza Group to your clients?
Absolutely, and that's a very interesting question, though. When I got started in this industry, and particularly working for Citi, which I worked at that magnificent bank for almost 2 decades, I always had a dream of getting to learn each of the key products: M&A, debt structuring, project finance, and so on and forth. I even got to work for EAF, external agency financing for the DF, which was quite interesting back in the 90s and early 2000s. And I always understood that mastering debt structuring was key in executing M&A deals, the purchase LBO and underwriting, because when you understand liquidity, you fix a critical aspect as this within the SME market, which is, look, for a middle-sized company, How do we acquire this target and so on and forth. So I wanted to learn about it. So but then after the 2008 crisis, which was the trade default crisis, the mortgages crisis, the CDOs, right? And the whole compliance era kicked in, which is compliance is important. But we started to get a lot of no's in we can do this, we neither can do this or that. It became a bit boring. I always felt within myself, man, it wouldn't be beautiful to execute deals, cross-selling all the knowledge and products, this bridge and they brought in that, pursue this LPO, involved in the mess that, selling that, and so on. So it wouldn't be beautiful just to have an investment bank boutique to do all of that on Ledger Mind Free, which turns out to be quite positively. And that's what we do at Citi, which again, magnificent, powerful bank. I owe them a lot from what Valoriza is today, no doubt. I love that bank. I still keep my account and friends, and I check with all of them, and even part of Citi alumni, by the way. So the thing is that the beautiful aspect of having your independent investment bank is that you don't have to go through all those units and compliance and so on, but you can execute it smoothly, tactfully, and quickly from one product to another and still ensuring a smooth delivery. So while a large bank will take months to get a transaction approved, to involving people, get all the agreements and so on, an independent investment bank like Valoriza can move truly fast. I mean, once we determine what is the clear, fastest, and most simple path to execute, we just focus full force to get it done. And so we do it. And we also move our gladiators, our analysts, from one product to another to ensure they can build into set of skills. So it's fun. We have a lot of fun. We do. I would love that part of Valoriza. We wanted to have a job like this, that we could move from one product to another. And I truly enjoy when we announce a transaction being closed and we use 2, 3, 4, 5 different products.
I love that. It's like that foresight you mentioned to understand that you needed to learn and improve your skills in different areas and learn different product groups and how they actually all have an impact on M&A. So I love that. And I love the ways you look to go and build your knowledge. I've had leaders tell me about looking for variety and becoming more valuable to their banks by sharpening their saw in different areas. But it seems more and more now that when I speak to leaders, they're talking about ultra specialism. Really, whereas you're taking a different approach of really building your team with skills in many different areas. So I find that really interesting. The other thing, I guess, about Citi, you went from Colombia to this global bank Citi, which obviously taught you so much. What advice do you have about gaining international exposure and truly becoming global in thinking for those bankers that are working in more regional markets?
Right. Wow. That brings a lot of memories, Pete. Boy, I will tell you need to differentiate yourself. Either if you're sitting in London, Namibia, Colombia, Argentina, whatever, you need to differentiate yourself. How? Be the working kid of the room, deliver results, put the client and the firm first, and seniors will notice. Strengthen your academics, get a nice MBA, and be outspoken about the fact that you want to be a regional or that you want to have international experience. And that's what we need. And at Citi, one thing that I love about Citi is that they were very clear in the way they will define success. They will rate their bankers and the people from 1 to 5. And as long as you were high potential, rated 1 or 2, consistently, specifically being 1, you knew that you will eventually get that opportunity. And that's what happened to me. And the last advice for perhaps many junior colleagues watching your program, your podcast, is that you need to be patient, man. Many people don't make it in this industry because they just want results today, tomorrow. They want big bonuses. Don't focus on that, man. Don't focus on time and bonus. Focus in learning, executing, enjoying the ride, and believe me, boy, you will get all those goodies, man. You will get them all and more. But I've been in this industry for more than 30 years, and I've seen many interesting, smart people living frustrating just because they didn't master their main muscle, which is their brain. You need to build that perseverance. Trust yourself. Ensure that you love this thing, man, because if you don't love investment banking, you should leave today, man. Resign. You should find your ikigai, what you truly love, what you truly like, to become a master, man. This life is too short to be working for somebody else or for yourself within something that really passionates you, right? That's the main message.
Do you have tips for those that are looking to find out if investment banking is their passion before they get involved? Is it internships? Is it talking to people in the industry? Do you have advice for those that are maybe thinking about it but want to make sure they're passionate before they get involved? Or does that not happen? You just have to throw yourself in and try it, and if the passion's there.
In my case, as you have seen, man, I'm a Latin guy, man. I'm a passionate guy.
It comes through, yeah.
Yeah, man, I really, I feel passionate about everything, man. My swimming, my motorcycle, the people I love, my friends, my work. I'm a passionate guy. So I can, when you have this kind of personality, it's very easy to connect, but with those things, right? So in my case, as I said, in the mid-'80s, I was lucky enough to read this article, and I said to myself, I want to be an investment banker. Nobody knew what was that. I told my family, I told my dad, and he was like, I thought you were going to work for my grandpa. So I want to be an investment banker. So one thing that I will advise, which is powerful, and I was a senior coach for Citi, while working at Citi for 10 years, right? They picked this senior team of high potential that have executed rightly in their career, and they gave us the beautiful opportunity in coaching others, right? The first thing that I would tell the juniors watching on your program is try to find a solid coach that can guide you through books, articles, or mentorship. Ensure this person is passionate about what they do. Ensure that they are successful, that they have results to show. Don't be afraid to approach them, because most times those people, those leaders are tough guys, tough cookies, right? You cannot be a successful leader by being weak. If you look at a global leader like Jamie Dimon, boy, did you imagine all the walls he has teared down in his life, right? Mm-hmm. So approach those leaders, ask for a meeting, for a coffee, ask them, look, wouldn't mind mentor me or giving me tips if I visit you every quarter to guide me to this and that. And believe me, at some point, he'll fire up within you, or he will just show you that perhaps it's something else. And by life, I'll tell you one thing that Professor Jaime Pineda, who passed away, gave us while I was studying engineering, was that sometimes, most of the times, not some, most of the times, you don't have the luxury to work on what you like, but on what you must, or what you find, right? Most of the time, people cannot just get into that industry, into that company, into that what they want to do. But he told us, still, you need to ensure you're the best. Still, you need to find the passion. There must be something pleasant, joyful about that job, and people will notice. And life will take you from one next to the next, and God will help. He will do his magic as well. And I'm a true believer, man. I didn't start on my first job in investment banking. It was an unbelievable, boring job for many people, but I found a meaning. I found a way to be recognized, so people could see that I wanted to get somewhere and be somebody. I use it as a tool to get into IB. So for anyone who's saying, boy, I'm still can make it into IB, I'm still can go into a large bank. Look at myself. I was working for Bank Colombia, and I got to join the largest bank worldwide today. And I'm still Citi, JP, Goldman, right? From Medellin in Colombia with a regular MBA, didn't go to an Ivy League there, man. Why? Because the drive, man. I found a way to enjoy it, to like it, to differentiate myself. When everyone was leaving at 5, 6, 7, I kept reading, working my, I wouldn't say it on your podcast, man, but I enjoyed it and talk with a lot of people. Life is beautiful. Work is not about making us hard, it's about making a life and building friends. And there are many industries on top of things that you can explore to be happy and enjoy, man, and not watch it or look at it as a simple, as a mean to pay for your bill. You should look at it as a means to truly enjoy life and ensure that you feel you're investing your time.
Makes sense. It's inspiring, and you've obviously found your sweet spot, and you're helping others to find that inspiration. And I think the mentor part you mentioned is really key. I think showing an interest, being curious, being around impressive leaders that can help you raise you up, give you advice, and even if it's moving out the industry, as you mentioned, finding the thing that you are really passionate about and you can succeed in. I believe a lot it's about tying your strength, what your innate strengths are, and applying them in the right way versus constantly working on your weaknesses, but really working on those strengths so you can get in that flow state. So there's lots of great takeaways. I want to touch a bit on AI as well, because we know AI is powerful, but we know it can't replace the creativity, the human relationships of a great banker. What skills should the next generation focus on and developing with AI coming through, in your opinion?
Absolutely. What an interesting question, Pete. I'll tell you, when you try it, it is important, fun to use AI, but when you got being an analyst or a VP to a point in which you say, I'm going to check into AI, right? You lose the luxury of developing the logic, the strategy, your brain, which is the most powerful tool you will have. And when you're pitching to a client or developing or building an idea or executing a transaction or developing a strategy, AI won't help you, man. So I'm an engineer. I love mathematics. I even thought about early on when I was very young in being a mathematics professor. I remember in the mathematics club they always encouraged us to do all the calculations in our brain, not on a calculator. And I can tell you it makes a lot of difference because you develop a fast and smart brain, you develop logic, and so on and forth. So it is important that despite of it, you keep building yourself, reading, studying, and so on and forth. Use it as a complementary tool, but don't make it the centricity of your job. Still write your own emails, write your own pitch books, use it as a tool, but you be the master of that word. Don't let AI to master you. And then even if you're an Excel genius, even if you're a genius when it comes to numbers, crunching, and so on, it will never ever replace the power of relationship. So you need to keep building friends and getting close to client, because you cannot tell a client, man, don't be so dumb to talk to a client. No, I found this on AI. Don't be dumb, man. Believe me, I've seen it. I still ensure you understand that you are building a very powerful machine within yourself. An AI, it is a tool, but it's not the machine. You are the machine.
Impactful. I like the way that you've put that. And I agree with you, by the way. At the end of the day, you want to strengthen your knowledge versus replace it with something else, right? That productivity part, helping, using the tools you say, but really refining your tool, your brain. So that really resonates with me. And it's easy to get lazy, right? And at the end of the day, investment banking, we hear it all the time. It's an apprenticeship. Every step is an apprenticeship. It's about acquiring the skills to do what needs to be done. So it makes a lot of sense.
And then you need to be perceived as a smart cookie with a client, man. It's funny for me when I say, I'll say what AI says. Oh, yeah, I found this on AI. No, a client want to hear from you. So you need to use that knowledge I gave you plus the reading you did in a way that the client perceives that you're smart, that you're in control, that you know what the hell you're telling.
It's interesting. You can look really good over email maybe or through documents, but when you're in the person, it's pretty obvious whether you've got a level of expertise or not. Luis, believe it or not, time has flown by. We've only got time for a couple more quick questions. So our regular listeners, our thousands of regular listeners know that I always ask this question. I believe that leaders are readers. And it doesn't just need to be books these days, right? Podcast materials. But what do you recommend that's had a big impact on you in terms of a book, a podcast, or materials?
Yeah, I believe you have a great audience with your podcast, Peter. And again, congratulations again for a very powerful podcast group that you have built. So I wouldn't talk about valuation from McKinsey or valuation or the Big Short from Michael Lewis. I think all of the colleagues who are watching your program, they have already read those numbers, those books. If not, they should. But one book that is very complex to read, but for those of us who love this industry, should, is boring, it's tough, but it shows you the whole IP history, is The Last Partnerships by Haste.
Okay.
Produced by McGraw-Hill. Beautiful book. It shows you how the Lehmans and the Goldmans and all these guys who built the Rothschilds and the likes, how they got started, how this built this industry. That's fantastic, man. The next one is The Richest Man of Babylon. That is a very powerful book that shows you like 3,000 years back how still investment banking was relevant back then. It will enable the young guys to connect with the past up to today and what they do. That's important. And the last one, being perseverance, critical, and one of the most important words in my life is The Old Man and the Seaman by Hemingway. Start reading so much numbers, man. You guys have already read all of that at college and MBAs and so on. Man, learn about drive, great, perseverance, man. And those are the type of books that I like the most. And the last one is The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Very important, man. A novel. And last but not least, a very dramatic, hard, tough cookie, badass book to read, man. The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Reed. Very tough, but for those working for large banks, for large firms, it will help you to navigate all of those politics and wars that you put in. I will leave you with that for now, Pete.
That's a good list there. And there's definitely a few in there that I've not heard of. So we'll definitely add those into the show notes for those interested. And as we said, we're both believers of growth mindset and sharpening that sword. So I'm sure the listeners will take to that. Final question before I get back to more important things, Luis. If you could go back, or looking back now, if you could go back to Luis at the start of his career, what's the one piece of advice that you'd give yourself?
Boy, the only advice I'll give to myself will be execute the plan that you have in your head, man. In my case, I believe I was lucky enough to say, I'm happy, I'm grateful. I execute what I wanted to do. I wouldn't change a piece.
Amazing. What a great way to end. Luis, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing all your wisdom with the audience. It's much appreciated.
Hey, I love it, man. I loved what you have put together. Congratulations again and your energy. And thanks again for showcasing me and your audience too, for spending time and listening this Colombian, this Paisa guy. I hope it helps.
Thank you so much, Luis. You take care. This episode of the podcast was brought to you by the Investment Banking Leaders Club. And to keep leveling up your career, join the club at ibleadersclub.com for exclusive insights, leadership strategies, and career growth resources straight from the industry's top professionals. I want to say thanks to our key partner, Altrum, the global leader in financial deal gifts, awards, and recognition, for their ongoing support of our mission to empower both aspiring and senior investment banking leaders. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, best of luck on your growth journey.